Jarek and I have approved this segment. You know, with the latest poll numbers out there from Rasmussen, Joe Sestak leading Arlen Specter by 5 points with what? It's next Tuesday.
I know.
Less than a week to go.
He was just saying, I mean, if you're watching Good Day, I'm sure you've noticed, it seems like every other commercial at this point is a political ad. Now, about a month ago, we've talked about this. The ads turned negative when Specter called Sestak's Navy career into question.
Yeah, then Sestak fought back with the ad showing George Bush's love for Arlen Specter back when Arlen was a Republican before he flipped over to a Democrat.
I'm Joe Sestak, the Democrat. I authorize this message.
My change in party will enable me to be reelected.
For 45 years, Arlen Specter has been a Republican politician.
Arlen Specter is the right man for the United States Senate. I can count on this man. See, that's important. He's a firm ally.
But now,
my change in party will enable me to be reelected.
And then, speaking of love, in the last few days, you probably noticed that Arlen Specter has unveiled an ad that has President Obama professing his love for Arlen, literally.
I want to say a few things about Arlen Specter. He came to fight for the working men and women of Pennsylvania. And Arlen Specter cast the deciding vote in favor of Recovery Act that has helped pull us back from the brink.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, I love Arlen Specter. So from Swift Boat to Love Boat, why do they bring out certain ads at certain times? Maybe Arlen Specter waited so long to bring out the political Obama I love you Arlen ad because it hasn't been working. Let's bring in Steve Keeley. Didn't work so much when the president campaigned in Massachusetts and Virginia and, of course, right where over there in New Jersey where you live, Steve.
Yeah, and that's why he's not coming here to Pennsylvania, because the White House doesn't want another embarrassing loss on the president's record. So you're only going to see Mr. Obama in that old clip. And I'll tell you something else. This is not the year to be an incumbent. Mr. Specter is in deep trouble. Look what happened in yesterday's West Virginia primary. Alan Monahan in there 28 years. Specter's in there 36 years old. 36 years now. Mr. Monahan voted out by the Democratic primary voters in West Virginia. Incumbency is not a good thing right now, Mike and Chanel.
Well, you talk about all those political ads, and one thing we have to talk about, Sestak is actually doing a good job. A lot of people believe of convincing voters that Specter only switched parties for the sake of his own political career, and a lot of people believe him.
Well, who on the street isn't imitating that Specter ad? Look at the New York Times this morning. They mentioned the arched eyebrow. Well, allow me to be reelected. Everybody on the street's imitating that. That is not a good thing. Sometimes name recognition and face recognition is not a good thing. And I got to tell you, I got a lot of friends that I worked with in Cleveland who now work in Pittsburgh, and they tell me that nobody in Pittsburgh ever heard of Sestak until Mr. Specter put those ads on. And they're helping Mr. Sestak because nobody in Pittsburgh cares about paying his staff minimum wage or all his no votes. And they bring up a good, interesting issue. Isn't it funny that when the debate finally got off all the attacks, all Mr. Specter did was attack Mr. Sestak on his votes with a commercial saying that he never votes.
That he never votes.
So a little hypocrisy there. And I think those ads, those negative ads, if I was running the Specter campaign, I'd pull all those off right now. They're still running them this morning, and just get Obama ad in there for the last days of the campaign.
Hey, look at the numbers underneath you, Steve, there. It's it was Joe Sestak at 47% in the Rasmussen poll and Arlen Specter at 42%. And then you look at the numbers, about 8% Democrats undecided. So next Tuesday when they need to go in and you can pull a lever anymore, I guess you just poke at it with a pen. Who's going to beat Toomey? So that Rasmussen also did a poll on that as well. Joe Sestak right behind Pat Toomey, where Arlen Specter is a big gap between Pat Toomey and Arlen Specter.
Yeah, I think what Mr. Specter is touting as his strengths now, you know, when you're a Republican, you can run to the right or to the center in primaries, then you run over to whatever side helps you for the campaign in November. But when you're a Democrat, you can't do that. And I think praising his bailout vote during the primary may help him with Democrats, but it would certainly not help him in November in Pennsylvania for sure.
That's for sure.
Bottom line, this is a nail biter, and it's going to come down to those undecided voters.
And before we break for another political ad, we've got to get to this. It's the top of the hour here. Good.